Hi everyone and welcome along to the latest Kipco British Champion Series preview being brought to you from the National Stud in Newmarket. Now you'll notice that there's a new face standing alongside me ahead of this preview. It is my good friend, Hull City Tigers fan and Racing UK colleague Chris Dixon. Chris, we've got some great races to look forward to before the series is up, but we've already been treated to a wonderful Kipco British Champion Series this year.
Yeah, we have. It's been a fantastic series. The sprint division dominated by the Powers, Searle and Slade. I think Kingman has been the star turn of the show so far this time around, in the same colours as the great Frankel, of course, but he's making a real mark for himself as a champion of his own. We're just getting to that time of year, the pecking order starting to be set out in front of us. It looks like Kingman probably has the miling division locked down, but everywhere else, it's pretty open. Yeah,
it's been a great series so far, so much still to look forward to. We've had the latest leg just a few days ago. It came from Haydock. It was the Betfred Sprint Cup. Here's what happened.
They're off in the Betfred Sprint Cup, and in stall 3 Marek was rearing as the gates open and has to drop in towards the rear. They begin to cluster centred a near side out on the right. Dinkum Diamond is showing pace. Down the middle, the nose banded a stare, and closest to the running rail, Hot Street, being followed by Gordon Lord Byron in a red jacket. And then Professor with Music Master, the green sleeves, and Cougar Mountain. Meanwhile, Dinkum Diamond on that far side is being tracked by Baccarat and Casper Netcher. Pearl Secret with the white faces in mid-division from Movie Star and SK Love and Marek, and then G-Force and Extortionist and Soul Power, ridden with exaggerated patience again by Richard Hughes. Last of all, as they pass halfway in the Betfred Sprint Cup, and from the rail across is Hot Street, Gordon Lord Byron, Astaire, Music Master, Tropics the white face, Dinkum Diamond, Casper Netcher on the right, the yellow cap from Baccarat, Cougar Mounting trying to thread a passage, Movie Star nowhere to go, Soul Power trapped in a pocket, can Hughes get him through? Meanwhile, Gordon Lord Byron goes for home down the near side from Music Master, and then G-Force running a big race, Gordon Lord Byron in front again, G-Force the final challenger, cutting back the deficit, getting up the fourth with Todd Hope. G-Force wins the Betfred Sprint Cup.
It was a great race, and it gave trainer David O'Mara and jockey Danny Tudhope a first Group 1 as G-Force came home to land the spoils. Chris, it was always going to be a matter of time for the trainer-jockey combination getting their first Group 1, and this horse looks a future sprinting star.
He does. I think they've always felt that he was going to be a very good horse. They purchased him, of course, relatively cheaply when he was relatively unproven, but he always had that good pedigree to call on, and they've done a really good job with him. It's still early days in his career, and yet he's reached fairly lofty heights already. So he's an exciting prospect. I think the making of him in the Sprint Cup was probably the step up in trip to 6 furlongs. Since the David O'Mara team got hold of him, he's been campaigned exclusively at 5. He caught the eye in the Nunthorpe the time before, shaping like a step up to 6 would suit him, and boy, it did.
He was a bit unlucky in the Nunthorpe actually, but as you say, stepping up to 6, great. So now, with one eye on the big one at the end of the year, we've got most of the pieces in the jigsaw placed. Who has been the sort of leading light in the sprint division for you?
Well, as we said right at the top of the programme, the Powers, Searle and Slade have dominated the division so far, but it doesn't look like Slade Power's going to turn up for the final race on Champions Day. Soul Power might well do, but it's over 6 furlongs, and the one meeting that he's had now with G-Force over 6 has gone the way of G-Force, and although he needs to be supplemented, there's talk that that's likely to be the case, and I think that G-Force is probably the horse to beat. The likes of Aljamahr here could be contenders on the day as well, but I think that G-Force over 6 furlongs on Champions Day will be the horse to side with and the horse to beat.
G-Force perhaps the new kid on the block, but one man responsible for a few of the old-timers in the sprint races is Jim Golding. He's very much looking forward to the big one at Ascot.
Jim, Champions Day at Ascot, no doubt Jack Dexter's heading back. He's done well there in the past.
Yep, he's, don't know if MD noticed, but he did win the race, the apprentice race after Frankel had won. But everybody was busy looking at
after the Lord Mayor show.
Aye, so, no, he's, and he went back there last year and was second to Slade Power. So our plan is probably Air Gold Cup, and whether we take in someone in between, but that's the main goal for the end of the season. If we get back to that form, I hear Slade Power's going somewhere else, so he'll be, if the rain comes, he'll obviously be a big player.
I was going to say, he normally gets his ground at Ascot that time of year, it comes, doesn't it?
Well, they were talking about covering it up, but I'd be disappointed if attempted to play
You
God.
bout with the Stanley knife.
Well, it's just, you know, if they don't want to run it in soft ground, run it at a different time of the year.
Yeah.
So it's why play God. You know, it's you know, the soft ground horses will have their day, and so be it.
That was a brilliant run last year. I mean, that's his career best, isn't it? That effort.
He showed what he was capable of that day, and you know, that prize money wise, and you know, that was obviously a career high.
I've always meant to ask you this. What sort of reaction do you get? You're marching into the paddock with a horse in a Group 1 at Ascot, the farmer from Renfrewshire, up against all these sheikhs and Newmarket trainers. Do you ever get any funny sort of lines? You'll love it, don't you?
Ah, they enjoy me coming down there. I'm got to admit, I'm well looked after at Ascot. Charles Barnett's married to Georgina Gregg, who used to be her dad used to be the chairman here, Colonel
David, the late.
The late. So Georgina and I go back to Pony Club camp. So for some reason, Charles refers to me as Wee Jimmy. So it could only come from my Pony Club days with Georgina. So no, Ascot's been very lucky. Already entered one the Shergar Cup there. Middlemarch has won there. You know, so the Jack Dexter. So I've been well blessed at Ascot.
There's still one more race to go before the finale in the mile division on Kipco British Champions Day, but it has been a division that has lit up racing throughout the course of the year. Let's take a look at the story so far.
And they're off and racing. They run downhill and into the dip. Australia and Turmoil's downside with shifting power over on the far side. Noosa Canarias, and here's Kingman exploding for the far side group. Kingman's come through the lead that group with Night of Thunder Australia under the near side rail. Night of Thunder drifting over Australia and Kingman. They're wide across the course. Kingman, Night of Thunder dives, and I think won the Guineas. I think Night of Thunder might odds the floor. Kingman and Australia and shifting power. It will go to the judge.
Here comes Olympic Glory, Frankie producing him on the right, and they head down, and Chopin's coming there as well. It's now top-notch Conzo, Olympic Glory, Frankie kicks him into the lead, and here he goes. Olympic Glory is cleared away by 2 or 3 lengths. Curious has come out of the back to chase him. Verrazano is closing as well, but as they race towards the line, Olympic Glory gives Frankie Dettori a 4th lock-in.
Left to go, moves on into a narrow lead, challenged on the near side by Coronado, who's coming with a thundering run, and Coronado now sweeps through to take over. Verrazano gives chase, and then Annan in Coronado. Verrazano trying hard to close Coronado, a class apart however, and wins the Queen Anne.
Kingman now coming on the outside to deliver his challenge. 2 more is next. That's the furlong pole. Night of Thunder and Kingman. The big 2 fighting it out. Kingman now and James Doyle have shot straight to the lead, and he goes clear. Kingman has won it in great style.
Kingman a bit all disorganised when first asked to quicken, then Darwin Coronado. Kingman taking a long time to get balance. Now begins to surge. Kingman purring at Coronado, and Kingman will run him down. He took longer to get organised, but he's won the Sussex Stakes.
Chris, you've mentioned already in this preview that Kingman's been a real star for you and has lit up racing. Can anyone beat him over a mile?
It's going to be hard. They already have, of course, with Night of Thunder in the Guineas, and that was a different scenario, a different type of race, the Guineas, to what it's been since then. Whenever it's turned into a little bit of a sprint, it's going to prove very difficult, nigh on impossible, in fact, to beat Kingman for a turn of foot. So maybe the way to defeat him would be a very well-run race, just like the Guineas was, and forcing something a little bit different from Kingman. The one time that he got beaten, that was the scenario, whereas ever since it's been a turn of foot. The Hannon team have got the 3 main rivals to him, so whether they could make it into a real well-run race, that might be the key. But Kingman, still even in a well-run race at this stage, he seems to be improving all the time. might well prove too good for them.
Because at Goodwood they tried something new, didn't they? And it didn't work because Kingman was still utterly brilliant. He has been the real star, the star 3-year-old, in all fairness, the star miler this year. We do have the Joel Stakes to look forward to before Kipco British Champions Day, and no doubt John Gosden will be hoping to continue what's been a fine season. We'll see who lines up in the Joel Stakes nearer the time, but let's take a look now at the trainers' standings in the Kipco British Champions Series. You will see that it's a close run thing at the top between John Gosden and Aidan O'Brien, and then Eddie Lynham has made his way onto the list thanks to the exploits of his star sprinters Slade Power and Soul Power. Right, the next race we're going to take a look at, and the next leg of the Kipco British Champions Series, is a classic, the fifth and final classic of the season. It's the St Leger from Doncaster. Here are the leading contenders.
And it's Australia who moves through with Kingston Hill. These two forge on in the Investec Derby. They go away. Arod has moved through to dispute third place with Romsdale, then Evan Oran. They race now down with a furlong to go. It's Australia who is out in front. Kingston Hill in second place, and it is Australia forging clear by a length or so. Kingston Hill is trying to rally. It was written in the stars, a day of destiny, as Australia follows in her parents' footsteps. Somewhat from Snow Sky, back to the inside and trying hard is Scotland. Down the outside, Cloudscape, Snow Sky has got to the lead. Cloudscape somewhat coming with runs with Wind Shear. It's still out in front, Snow Sky somewhat battling on gallantly on the inside. Wind Shear the last challenger. Snow Sky just about falls in.
So some good pieces of form, Chris, being brought into the fifth and final classic of the season at Doncaster. Kingston Hill sets the standard with that brilliant second behind Australia in the Derby. He's got a couple of furlongs extra to contend with at Doncaster. Is he, for you, the #1 selection in this race?
He's got the best form, but I think the key point that you made there is about the trip. The extra 2 furlongs, will it suit? He's by a Siren Master Craftsman whose stock so far unproven over that kind of a trip, and it's certainly unsure on his pedigree whether or not he's going to stay. That same piece of form from the Derby had Romsdale back in third. John Gosden such a fantastic record in the St Leger as well, and I think that he's going to relish the extra 2 furlongs. He's got to put behind him a disappointing effort at Ascot last time out in the King George, but if you forget that and forgive him that, then I think over the extra couple of furlongs he might well be able to reverse the form.
Okay, let me just ask you a couple of questions about Kingston Hill. First one, if it turns up decent ground, how much of a hindrance to his chance would that be?
I think he goes on decent ground. It wasn't easy ground in the Derby, whereas you point out he has the standard setting piece of form, so that wouldn't worry me too much. I think we're at the time of year now where we're going to be getting away from really fast ground that they wouldn't want to run him on. I think 1.5 miles good or good to soft ground is probably his optimum nowadays. He goes on something softer as well. If it did come up soft, the ground would suit him, but it would make it even more of a stamina test, and that would then be even more of a concern on that front.
And the last question is, you've mentioned Romsdale, who are the other dangers?
I think Romsdale's one of the key contenders for the race. I think the March Stakes at Goodwood a couple of starts ago, a listed race, might well have a bearing on the race. And from that contest, I think Alex, my boy, who could do with travelling a little bit better through his races, might be a contender. He'd won nicely at Musselburgh the time before. Snow Sky, he's a definite player as well. He was a winner at Glorious Goodwood, of course, but I think Wind Shear, a horse who finished second to him, perhaps unfortunate that day, is the other key contender. So the 2 big names to concentrate for me at the moment in the St Leger final classic of the season are Wind Shear and Romsdale.
He's a good tipster, so you want to take note of that. Chris Dixon's thoughts on the St Leger there. Let's see what the runners and riders will face. Here's classic winning jockey John Reid taking us around Doncaster.
I'm John Reid. Welcome to Doncaster. Come and ride the Ladbrokes St Leger with me. And we're off. Now, we're getting our horse. We've got a little road to cross here, so we're just having a little look at it. There'll be a bit more grass than that come the big day, so you won't really see it. We've got a nice run all the way to Rose Hill. Now we're in a nice rhythm. They'll be more or less sorted out by now. You'll be in the position you're going to be in, and hopefully you're going to be in a nice place where you want, and you can stay there until you get into the straight, and then the race will really start to develop. 1.5 mile pole we've just passed, so we've covered 2 furlongs already, and we're heading up to where the 1.25 miles is, the bottom of Rose Hill. This is the highest part of the track. The track's very flat. Apart from this little bit, we run uphill here, up to the top of Rose Hill, and then we got a full 1.25 miles to run. There we are. We're at the very highest part, Doncaster Racecourse. Then we drop back down again. The hill's not steep. The horses don't have really much problem handling it around here. A nice easy slope downhill. Now we're almost back flat again, and we're taking a left hand again, which brings us all the way round towards the straight. There's always a pretty good pace in the Leger. People are in here because they want a mile and 6, not a mile and a half, so they'll be going mile and 6 pace, but it'll be a strong one. They won't be going steady. So if you're on the right horse and you get the trip and you're good enough, you're going to win. Now we're still turning all the way around here. You're turning, so you don't really want to be out too wide. You want to be in 1 or 2 off the fence so that you get a nice run round here and you're not doing more work than everybody else. So I'm on the fence here, the perfect position. So we're still turning left. So as you can see, it's quite a long left turn, but it's nice and easy. We're just getting into the straight now, and the race is going to start in earnest a little bit. There might be a few go forward here once they straighten up, but still got a long way to go. You can't stop yet. Now we've got a half a mile to run. Now this race will be starting to really develop from here. Half a mile to run in 2 furlongs. The ones that are not going to stay are going to start to be getting in trouble, so you need to be watching out for them. But the good ones will still be travelling. Just over 3 furlongs to go. Now the race will be on proper now. By the time we get to the 2, we're going to know if we've got any chance of winning or not. Quite often, the race will be really quite strong from here. The jockeys will be in full drive position. 2 to go, and it's all to play for. Now you're in the lap of the gods. You just hope you're going to stay the trip and last to the post. You've got a pretty good idea from here if you're going to win or not. But we're still here. There's the furlong pole flash by. Getting a little bit tired. Come on, son. You can do it. Keep going. Not far to go. Just a quick look on the left hand of the screen. See how we're getting on. And there's the winning post. So, it's a long way round. And the horse did well. Great race to win. Had the pleasure to win this race in Nawari many years ago. It was a great day. You get in there and you get the hat to put on. Very memorable. One of the oldest races on the calendar, and a day I'll never forget.
The St Leger falls into the long distance category, so let's take this opportunity to have a look at the story so far in that division.
They're off. Cuban Eater over on the far side, followed through by Camborne and Coyote. Down to the last furlong they come. Gospel Choir finds daylight. Tac de Boitron also running on. Gospel Choir into the lead, edging off a true line. Here's Tac de Boitron. Tiger Cliff with a thrust. Gospel Choir inching home from Tac de Boitron. Gospel Choir, Moore hits the high notes, and Gospel Choir wins the Yorkshire Cup from Tac de Boitron.
Estimate is coming there with the noseband. She's in with a great chance. And now leading light on the outside. They come to the last furlong. Estimate leading light. Brown Panther with them. Miss United is next. 4 in with a chance. They drive towards the line. Leading light down the centre is in front. Estimate is trying to fight back, and it was a race towards the line. Leading light though is 1.
Cavalryman takes over from Brown Panther, Azima and Angel Gabriel. Cavalryman shifting over to the rail. Azima pursues his stable companion. Back in third, Brown Panther. Last year's winner sees the crowd slip from his grasp. Azima second last year. He's trying to run down Cavalryman, but Cavalryman still has the lead. Azima edging closer, but not fast enough. Cavalryman.
Time's up, Pale Mimosa throwing it down now to Forgotten Voice, then Estimate who's flat out behind them, but she is beginning to stay on. Cavalryman's got a bit to do behind these. Angel Gabriel up the inside is finishing off. Pale Mimosa in front. Here's Estimate on the outside bearing down with Cavalryman, but it's Pale Mimosa. Estimate thrusting late on the near side. Pale Mimosa and Pale Mimosa wins the Lonsdale Cup.
Next up, it's the Doncaster Cup, and this is a race that Time's Up looks forward to, Chris, because he's won it for the past couple of seasons. Ahead of this year's race, can he complete the hat-trick?
Might well be able to. He was below form in the early part of this season. First 2 runs of the year were disappointing, but back to form at York in the Lonsdale Cup last time out, and he must have a great chance once again. No real obvious reason as to why High Jinks, who's been second to him for the last 2 years in the Doncaster Cup, will be going one better this time around, and Repeater has been held on both those occasions as well. I think maybe away from the renewals of this race in the last few years, we might find the winner by looking to the Lonsdale Cup and the runner-up, Estimate, who was below form at Goodwood in between very good runs at Ascot and then at York last time out. I think that the extra 2 furlongs back up to 2 1/4 miles will really suit Sir Michael Stout's mare, and I think that she is the one to beat.
Yeah, and she will, if she does win, of course, be a royal winner, because Estimate is owned by Her Majesty the Queen, one of the leading contenders in this year's Doncaster Cup. We're going to take this opportunity to reflect and discuss some of the divisions that we haven't been able to already, and we're going to start, Chris, with the Fillies and Mare division. You'll be able to see that Tapestry leads Togruta within this division based on her Yorkshire Oaks victory over the Oaks heroine Togruta. What did you make of that run?
Brilliant race between the pair of them. It would appear that maybe Togruta was a shade below her very best in the King George. That race perhaps leaving a mark, but that's not to take anything away from Tapestry, who's really relished stepping up in trip of late, and she's got an excellent pedigree. Don't forget, she was the Guineas favourite at the start of the season as well. So those two high-class fillies that have really lit up that particular division. Togruta in particular, but her best has come when running outside of the Fillies and Mares division races.
Which is why Tapestry leads that division, but you'll see that Togruta has a higher rating in the middle distance category, which is currently led by Australia, but only just from Togruta based on that excellent win in the King George for John Gosden's filly. And Australia Togruta, 2 3-year-olds, Epsom Derby winners, 2 excellent horses.
Yeah, both of them successful in the early classics at Epsom, in the Oaks and the Derby, of course, and both of them ran very well at York. Togruta obviously beaten at York, as we mentioned. Her best came in this division when she lined up in the King George, you pointed out. Australia's just getting better all the time, thoroughly effective over 1.5 miles, but I think even more so over 10 furlongs, and I think that was highlighted by York. And looking ahead to Champions Day, the Champion Stakes itself, I think that Australia, if he lines up there, is going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, it promises to be a great race. It promises, as always, to be a great day. Kipco British Champions Day coming your way very soon. Before that, we have Doncaster. Our thanks from here at the beautiful surroundings of the National Stud to everyone involved in allowing us to come to these wonderful grounds and bring you the very latest Kipco British Champions Series preview. From myself, Ollie Bell, and Chris Dixon, we'll see you next time.